January 2026 arrived quietly. No surprise live broadcasts, no sudden music drops, no unexpected social media waves. For most artists, this would not be unusual, but for Jimin of BTS, the calm was immediately felt and instantly discussed. Fans around the world noticed it almost at the same time. Timelines felt different. Fan communities slowed, not from disinterest, but from observation. Something had changed, and the change was subtle enough to invite curiosity rather than alarm. Jimin was not gone, he was simply quiet. And for an artist whose presence has long been defined by emotional intensity and constant resonance, that quiet carried meaning. One of the first conclusions fans agreed upon was this: Jimin had not disappeared. His music continued to be streamed at high volumes. Fan-made content remained active. Past performances resurfaced and circulated widely. Yet there was a clear reduction in new direct engagement. No frequent updates, no spontaneous interactions, no visible push toward attention. This distinction matters. In fan discourse, there is a clear line between absence and restraint, and January 2026 felt like restraint. Many longtime followers pointed out that Jimin has historically chosen moments of silence carefully. When he steps back, it is often not to disengage, but to recalibrate. As days passed, the conversation shifted. Instead of asking, "Where is Jimin?" fans began asking, "Why now?" Discussion threads analyzed timelines, past interviews, and previous patterns in Jimin's career. Comparisons were drawn to earlier phases when reduced visibility preceded major artistic developments. The dominant tone was not panic, it was interpretation. Fans speculated that January 2026 represented a mental and emotional checkpoint, a moment of internal alignment before movement. In many ways, this interpretation reflects the unique relationship between Jimin and his audience. Fans have learned to listen not just to what he shares, but also to when he chooses not to. Jimin's artistry has always been closely tied to emotion. His performances are often described as vulnerable, precise, and deeply expressive. This emotional transparency has made fans particularly sensitive to shifts in his public behavior. However, instead of projecting concern, many fans expressed trust. They referenced past moments when Jimin spoke openly about pressure, growth, and the importance of protecting one's inner balance. In that context, a quieter January felt less like withdrawal and more like self-preservation. This perspective reframed the silence as strength rather than absence. The timing of this quiet period is crucial. January 2026 sits at a symbolic intersection. A new year, a new phase for BTS, a period of reflection after years of intense global activity. Fans and commentators alike noted that transitions often require space, and for an artist like Jimin, known for intentionality, stepping back at the beginning of a year carries significance. Rather than rushing into visibility, the quiet suggested preparation. Not retreat, not uncertainty, but intention. In today's pop industry, silence is no longer a sign of irrelevance. It is often a strategy. Major global artists increasingly choose moments of absence to control narrative, preserve creative energy, and reset public expectations. For Jimin, January 2026 fits cleanly into this modern pattern. Rather than competing for constant visibility, intentional quiet allows anticipation to grow organically. Fans do not forget, they wait. And in Jimin's case, waiting has always amplified emotional connection rather than weakened it. This shift in how silence is perceived marks a broader evolution in fan culture, where presence is measured not by frequency, but by impact. Longtime fans quickly recognized something familiar about this moment. Throughout Jimin's career, Quieter periods have often preceded personal or artistic transitions, whether before emotionally significant performances, concept shifts, or changes in artistic tone. Silence has historically acted as a buffer, a space between identities. January 2026 feels similar, not identical, but recognizable. Fans point out that Jimin rarely moves without purpose. When he pauses, it is often because he is preparing to step forward differently than before. One reason fans are responding calmly to Jimin's quiet is trust. Over the years, Jimin has demonstrated emotional intelligence in how he communicates with his audience. He has spoken openly about pressure, vulnerability, and the importance of mental balance. This transparency has shaped fan expectations. Instead of demanding constant updates, many fans now respect boundaries, especially when silence feels intentional rather than forced. January 2026 reflects this mutual understanding between artist and audience. Timing is everything. January is not just another month. It represents beginnings, resets, and internal recalibration. Choosing this moment to reduce visibility suggests reflection rather than retreat. For Jimin, whose artistry thrives on emotional depth, starting the year quietly may allow space to define intention before action. It is not a pause away from music, it is a pause toward clarity. Interestingly, fan reaction has been notably mature. Instead of panic-driven speculation, most discussions emphasize patience. Many fans openly discourage rumor spreading, instead framing the quiet as healthy and necessary. This response reflects growth, not only in Jimin, but in the community surrounding him. Fans are no longer just consumers of content, they are observers of process. Media coverage of Jimin's January 2026 quiet has been cautious. Rather than dramatic headlines, most outlets frame the situation as a period of low visibility rather than disappearance. This distinction matters, especially in an industry where silence is often exaggerated into controversy. The restraint shown by media mirrors the restraint shown by the artist himself, a rare alignment that reinforces credibility. For years, Jimin has been associated with intensity, emotional performances, powerful choreography, and expressive storytelling. January 2026 offers a reminder that identity is not limited to output. Sometimes identity is preserved through rest, observation, and internal work. Fans increasingly recognize that not every chapter needs to be loud to be meaningful. Jimin's quiet does not exist in isolation. BTS as a group is navigating a broader transition into a new era. Individual pacing, preparation, and recalibration are expected, even necessary. Fans speculate that Jimin's January silence aligns with a collective repositioning, where each member prepares in their own way for what comes next. What makes January 2026 unique is tone. The silence does not feel heavy. It does not feel uncertain. It feels calm. This emotional texture has shaped fan interpretation. Instead of worry, there is confidence, a belief that something is being built quietly, intentionally, and carefully. In many modern releases, anticipation is manufactured through constant teasing. Jimin's approach in January 2026 is the opposite. There are no clues, no countdowns, no hints, and yet anticipation grows. This organic anticipation suggests that his presence alone carries weight, even when he is not actively speaking. A recurring theme in fan discussions is protection. Many believe Jimin is prioritizing emotional and mental stability over public demand. This interpretation reflects increased awareness of the pressures artists face behind the scenes. In this context, silence becomes an act of care, not withdrawal. From an industry standpoint, Jimin's January 2026 quiet aligns with long-term sustainability. Rather than chasing immediate relevance, strategic pacing preserves artistic longevity. Observers note that this approach is becoming increasingly common among artists with established global recognition. Jimin's career stage allows for patience, and he appears to be using it wisely. Silence tells a story. In January 2026, the story is not about disappearance, but about transition. It invites interpretation without forcing answers. Fans are not filling the gap with fear, they are filling it with trust. Whether or not January leads directly to announcements remains unknown, but fans overwhelmingly describe this moment as the calm before movement, a pause that exists not to delay, but to prepare. In Jimin's case, preparation has always preceded precision. January 2026 may not be remembered for releases or performances. It may be remembered for something quieter. A moment when Jimin chose intention over noise, balance over exposure, and patience over urgency. In doing so, he reminded the world that presence does not require constant visibility. Sometimes the quietest moments say the most. One of the most notable developments during Jimin's January 2026 quiet period is not about him, but about the fans. In past years, silence from major artists often triggered waves of unverified theories, exaggerated rumors, and emotional panic. This time, something feels different. Fan communities appear more grounded, more intentional, and more protective. Rather than demanding explanations, many fans actively remind one another to trust Jimin's pace. Posts emphasizing patience, emotional health, and respect for boundaries receive widespread support. This collective response reflects a matured relationship between artist and audience, one built on understanding rather than entitlement. Jimin has long expressed that his creative process is deeply internal. In interviews throughout his career, he has spoken about needing time to feel, process, and align emotionally before expressing himself through music or performance. For an artist like Jimin, speed has never been the goal, sincerity has. January 2026 appears to align with this philosophy. Rather than external productivity, the focus seems to be internal clarity. Fans interpret this as a necessary phase, not a delay, but a foundation. Art, in this sense, begins long before it becomes visible. Being seen constantly carries an emotional cost.